Every now and again, I'll just wake up super early, not on my own accord, but today was one of them days. So,
and anticipating the excitement of coming on the show, probably.
Yeah, whatever you gotta tell yourself.
Rodeo time.
Welcome to the Luke Branquinho Show. My next guest is somebody that has joined us on, I'd say, several occasions, and most of the time it's a roast session, but today is going to be a little different. It's the reigning world champion bull rider, Kai John Hamilton. Hey, Kai, what's happening, man?
Not much.
You just rolled out of bed, didn't you?
No, I've been up since daylight.
That's funny. You said you couldn't come to in studio, which I had a seat right here for you because you'd still be in bed. But you've been up since daylight?
Yeah, well, today, every now and again, I'll just wake up super early, not on my own accord, but today was one of them days. So,
and anticipating the excitement of coming on the show, probably.
Yeah, whatever you gotta tell yourself.
All right, so obviously the reigning world champ, and this year not going to be at the National Finals Rodeo as a contestant. I'm sure you'll have to go do some autograph signings, which I feel for you. And in fact, I was going to call you. I did call you the other day, and I forgot what I called you about, and then I remembered. The first year I won the world in 2004, I got hurt and did not get to compete at the National Finals 2005. And you want to talk about a kick in
One sec.
What?
You know how long ago that was?
Oh, my gosh.
I was 4 years old.
Yeah, but it's still the same idea, right? It's a kick in the crotch when you are the champ and you don't get to go back to defend your title. It's a kick, and it not only is it a kick mentally, but like for me, I let myself go physically. Obviously, you haven't done that. You still look like a specimen of bull riding shape, but I honestly, tell me what you're feeling, because I know what I felt. It was miserable. I was depressed. I was down. I didn't know, is there any more gold buckles in my future? What are you feeling?
It's been a roller coaster of, I guess you could say, emotions this year. It's baffled me that how you can go from I didn't feel like I had a cocky mentality at all. I felt like I was very grateful. Yeah, I felt like I was grateful for that because I felt that I was finally at the point in my career where I'd figured things out, what I had to do during the week for preparation that made me compete at my best, and being around the right people to where I feel like my mental game was at its best. You're at the pinnacle. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I don't know. I don't feel like it was the shoulder surgery itself that dwindled that, or just the sitting at the house for the 6 months, because even 2-3 months after I'd had surgery, like I still felt that way in my mental game. I still felt strong and like I could just go back to winning right away. And then I was at the house for 6 months, and then I started getting on practice bulls over at JB's, and I was riding just as good getting on them practice bulls as I had before I hurt my shoulder. Like, or
not better, because your whole body had a chance to heal.
Yeah. And I felt like, again, I could do no wrong, and that everything was still clicking for me. And then I went to an amateur road before I went to Calgary, and I won that. And then I've gone to Calgary, and my riding, I felt like I was riding good. And then the craziest thing happens. I trip over my chaps, bull hooks me, smacks me in the face, and then it was like it was like the mentality of thinking nothing ever bad could go wrong. It was like, just kidding. Yes, it can.
Well, it is bull riding, but in a short amount of time of coming back from an injury to feeling like you're invincible as far as your riding ability to going. I was there. I think it was this hand. It might have been this one. It's this one. I don't know if you can see that. That is a blister callus still from pulling your rope at Calgary. In case everybody wants to know, it kind of scarred me. But I got to watch you and cheer you on in a sarcastic way and tell you to do your best and don't be a sissy. And I agree. I thought you were as in good of riding shape as a guy could be. One, because you just had coming off surgery. So your body that you banged up at the national finals, which everybody knows, that took a toll on you, and how you were able to come back from that and still win the championship was impressive. But then 6 months off, probably in as good a shape as fighting shape as you could be in. And then all of a sudden, bam, again. So not only physically, which I got a picture I'm going to send, and we're going to post this, of your face after that bull smacked you. It was gnarly. But now mentally even more so, like, damn it, I've just come back and I was supposed to win Calgary, get 50,000, which obviously all of it didn't count, and continue on rodeoing and make the national finals and try to defend my title.
Yeah, and it dang sure has not gone that way. I didn't know. I think I get down there, I go to Cheyenne. I must say my get-ups aren't the greatest, but one ear holes me getting off. And then on top of that, I have a bunch of truck dramas. My good rodeo truck that has never let me down a day in its life since I've had it for 4 years decided to blow a transmission. And so I was without a vehicle for 3 weeks. Then I started having some hand and wrist issues, and I decided to quit fighting it. And I just decided I was going to come home, get healthy, and get my truck situation sorted out. Because now my truck that I had at home, it ain't working either.
It's just one thing after another. But you did go see Tandy, and he said the wrist, hopefully time off will kind of heal itself, right?
Yeah.
So you said, are you going to, and trust me, I've been there. Like I said, when you were 4, I won the world in 2004. Some of my fans don't like it when I say that. I'm sorry, but I did in 2004. You could look it up. And in 2005, I tore my pec. I'm out 6 months, and I did it at Reno. So I didn't have an opportunity to, heal up the first part of the year and try to get back to it. I had surgery in June or 1st of July. Actually, I tried to rodeo with it. Don't ever try to rodeo with a torn pec, especially steer wrestle, which I know you don't have to worry about that. But came back the next year, and it was a struggle to try to get – and the motivation – I had one gold buckle, right? And I'm like, is this it? Do I need to try to keep going? What's the reason? I've accomplished what 99.9% of people at rodeo will never accomplish. So do I want to continue to do this? Do I want to continue to beat myself up? And that was in the back of my mind. And I think every athlete, every competitor has those mental thoughts, a process of why am I doing it? What is the drive that makes me want to continue to do it? So for me, it was, I went back in 2006 like I'd never won a gold buckle. I quit wearing my gold buckle because I didn't want a reminder of it, because I felt like if I had it on, it was going to say, well, I got this. Do I need to give it 110% to try to get another one? So I quit wearing my other gold buckle and switched back. I think it was my rookie buckle. And from that point on, I started to get the hunger for it. I started to get that competitiveness back. And I think that is something that you I think, are going to have to figure out how to handle that. But there's no doubt about it. Your ability's there. Your physical, you're physically ready for it. But up here, sometimes that takes a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think kind of where you've gone with that is how I've wanted to start approaching next year, as if I ain't even won one yet. And if that means dropping out of the top 50 to have to work my way to get qualifications again, or whether that be go a different route and go to the PBR to where I don't have a gold buckle there, and start from scratch, I think that I think that's an idea in itself, and that's something I was looking at doing.
Well, and I'm sure, like for me, it when I said I went and put my rookie buckle on, it reminded me every time I put my pants on, and we do it just like everybody else, one leg at a time. You might be a two-legger, I don't know, but one leg at a time. And when I buckled it, I'm like, well, I had to lift it up because I was a little heavier at that time. I leaned back and lift it up. I'm like, okay, this is where I started. This is where I started to get to that next level. And like I said, 99.9% of people will never get to that level. Start at the beginning, work at the basics, and get back to that world championship form. When we come back, we're going to break now, Kai. But when we come back, I want to dive more into, next year and your plans. So everybody stay tuned. We're coming right back to you from the Luke Branquinho Show with Kai Hamilton. Questions on the Luke Branquinho Show. And every time these pop up, you guys make sure you ask, because we'll try to fire as many out as we can. Reagan DW, the question is, are we going to get more JB content? Welcome back to the Luke Branquinho Show. Our guest, Kai Hamilton, the reigning world champion bull rider. We will not see him at the national finals, but I think the future is still bright for this guy. And as much as it pains me to see the light coming in and shining on your brightness, Kai, we talk about mental clarity and where you're at in this stage and where I was at after I won my first one. The question I got asked a lot, what was the hardest buckle to win? The first world championship or the second one? And by far the second one, because there's so many expectations. And we've talked about this. People expect you to go out and win. Well, it's just not that easy. Just don't go get on a bull and win. And I think that in the back of our minds, like, okay, I'm not going out to win for me. I'm going out to win for them. As much as we want to say it's not there, it's definitely there. And you have to figure out how to block that out.
Yeah, for sure. Before you go to gold buckle, they don't expect that of you. So therefore, if you do good, that's awesome. If not, you're only letting yourself down. They don't give a shit about you anyway. But I feel like once you got one, then everyone else expects you to do no wrong.
Well, and to that point, you didn't only just win yours by riding at the national finals. You won yours by getting drilled at the national finals, breaking some ribs, thought you had a concussion. It was just how you were. But I mean, you came back and won that gold buckle with authority, but you were damn sure crippled and injured and hurt. And I think when people saw that, they're like, oh, this guy's unbeatable. He's going to win multiple gold buckles. And rightfully so for them to think that. But now in the back of your mind, you have to continue to do that hurt, which is not the case at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's been a hard deal with this year, being banged up and that pill is a hard pill to swallow when your pride comes into it, because everyone's seen you win a gold buckle banged up, spending a night in hospital, and then it feels like you're just getting gut punched the whole rest of the next year. And the smart thing to do is, I feel like for me this year has been to come home and reset rather than keep being out there flogging myself, as much as I feel like that's, I don't know, the cowboy mentality or the tough thing to do. But I don't know. I feel like I'll be a lot better in the long run for it rather than had I have stayed out there. Well,
100%. Because say you do stay out there and you're grinding out, you're not going to make the national finals. You don't have the Extreme Bulls money. You don't have the Extreme Bulls finals. You don't have enough rodeos to get to. You don't have the tour finals to make it. So really all you're going out there to do is try to prove something to somebody that doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what they think. And you're going to get banged up because let's face it, bull riding, it doesn't matter how good you are, how hot you are. You're going to get sore. You're going to get banged up. So for you, I think it was a smart decision. Take the time off, heal up, get healthy. Maybe don't smoke, don't drink, don't go to the bar. You do you, though. And get in as tough physical shape as you possibly can. Because if you are thinking of transitioning over to the PBR, which I know you know this as well as anybody, and being behind the buck and shoots at the PBR teams, those bulls, some of them they get on are dirty rank bulls, and I've seen you ride those, but you better be in top physical shape to be able to do it day in and day out.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess the difference is being there compared to rodeo, that's all you're getting on.
Right.
Like us rodeo, we'll get on them, but we might get on some 20, 19 pointers throughout that week too. Whereas over there, you're getting on that caliber every time. So of course you got to be in the best shape you can be at the time.
Which I never thought about that. You said you guys throughout the week might get on some 19 and 20 pointers, and then you step up to the 22, 23. Those 19 pointers are, and maybe this is the wrong thing to say, are like practice bulls. I mean, in all reality, is that a type of bull you get on, or is it more of a 16, 17 pointer?
They're either like a practice bull or they're hard to ride because they ain't helping you any.
Out of line all over the place.
Yeah.
I guess the good thing about it is you go to those rodeos or the PBRs, it's consistent on the weekends. It's not Monday, Tuesday. You don't have a slack. You don't have long perfs. You go and get on, a couple bulls on the weekend, go home, take a few days off or practice if you're feeling good or whatever. And I know watching like Jose, he goes and gets on practice bulls, but to a certain extent, if he's sore, he's not going to get on. He has to work on things up here.
Yeah.
And I mean, similar to you, if you do that, you'll be able to take those few days off, rest, recover, or just go get better in the practice pen.
Yeah, for sure. And that last year, rodeoing in the wintertime, I was able to practice a lot because I was down here in Texas, and when I had a lot of days off and stuff like that, I was able to practice. And I feel like that's when I've always rode my best, is when I've been able to practice. Throughout the summer, it gets hard because you don't have time to practice. You're entered somewhere all the time. And if things aren't going right, well, you just got to battle through it mentally and get right mentally to get through it. Whether it's before the NFR and during the winter, I'm able to practice all the time, and I feel like that's when I ride my best. So
when you say practice, I mean, getting on bulls, obviously, but is there a method of bucking machine to getting on bulls? And I don't even know if bucking barrels are a thing of the past now, but something like that. If you want to fine tune something.
There is a little bit of that in there, not a whole lot. It's more of something just to keep you thinking about riding. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to get on it every day till I was blue in the face. Whether it's now, like, I've got those mechanics built now, it's more just a reminder of what the basics are and to keep me thinking about riding. But
muscle memory to an extent.
Yeah, but mostly riding horses and getting on practice bulls.
I know for me, like I was like you at a young age, I would practice until I was throwing up or blue in the face or whatever. And the older I got, I tried to establish that muscle memory at a young age, because I felt like if you do that, which I know you think I'm old, but anyway, at a young age, then when you do get to going and blowing like we do on the rodeo trail, it's all locked in up here. You might have to fine tune things. And when I went to the practice pen, I never went to try to make a rodeo run. I tried to work on one thing that I might have been struggling with, as far as feet placement, head catch. It was always one thing. And I feel like in sports, especially rodeo, if you try to focus on fixing everything at once, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny you say that. I was talking the other day with Quinn Anderson. He's a bull rider from Australia, and we were talking about practice bulls. And I was telling him that last year before the finals, I had a handful of bulls that I could ride easy enough. I could have easily spurred them if I'd have wanted to, but instead of spurring them, I practiced working on things that I wasn't doing so correct on the better bulls, and I used them softer bulls to practice doing it right. And doing that 7 times a week, 6 times a week on bulls, when I got to the finals and was getting on good bulls every night, it was muscle memory. And I didn't even have to think about it. But using them practice balls to work on stuff that I wasn't as sharp with, dang sure carried over. And I think that's something in itself, is having practice balls that you can work on stuff on, not just balls that you're getting on when the gate opens and you're shitting and getting it because they're trying to buck you off. Like it's a fine line. You need to have something that's going to test you, but also something that you can work on doing stuff right that aren't just going to throw you off.
But right now I want to talk about guys, when you grew up, guys you looked up to that mentored you and helped you get to where you're at now.
So luckily, my family, my dad and my dad's side of the family, they all rodeoed and ranched back home. So my dad, he rode
home is Australia, in case anybody doesn't understand where he's talking about.
My dad, he rode broncs and bulls back home in Australia. So I was pretty lucky that I had a dad that had been around the sport and knew a pretty good amount about it. And so he was able to set me off on the right path. And when I wanted to do it, he was the one that said, like, look, if you're going to do this, you got to be in 100% or we're not doing it. Right. And so I think that was, for me, it's something that stuck with me my whole career, is that mentality. And it set me off on the right start to be serious about it and to do it properly. So that was for sure a big help. And then I was lucky enough, Troy Dunn, he only lived 45 minutes from me, and him and Dad had been friends from back when they were riding and stuff like that. So that was one of the guys I always looked up to, and it was pretty cool to have him right there close to the house to where I could go get tuned up and help. Well, it helped get me ready to come over here.
Yeah, and Troy was an elite bull rider, like over here in the States, the PBR. And was he somebody you obviously you can call and say, hey, Troy, this is what I'm dealing with physically, and this is what I'm dealing with mentally, and he'd be able to explain to you how to get through it. Yeah,
for sure. And he done a great job with it back home. Like, thinking now, a lot of the things he told me, I hadn't quite experienced either them emotions or had that happen in my career yet. But now that it's been a little longer, like, I can see what he meant by a lot of the things he said, and it kind of all makes sense now. But even still, like, the other week I called him when I was having hell and not sure what to do, and because he'd been there, he'd won a world title and had to come back and do it all again the next year. And so even still to this day, it's good to have him, to be able to call him and talk to him about it, because he's someone that can relate, and especially someone that is from the other side of the world, as the same as I am, and all your family and everything's back there. And sometimes you think it'd be easier just to pack up and go back, but that's not the case. And it's good to have someone from over there that has been through it all to talk you through it. So
yeah, definitely have that support from home, a guy that's been there, done that. And you can say, hey, I want to come home. He's like, no, you're going to keep your narrow butt back out there and you're going to keep winning. And to have somebody like Troy, obviously your dad, and then I know you and JB are pretty close, but I think JB could be on the flip side of the coin. You're hurt, I don't care, get on and tough it out. I mean, that was JB's mentality.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't worry about it. I get made fun of when I go around there. But
you do?
Oh yeah. But that's the good part about having friends and guys you look up to that can call you out on your BS. And I mean, they want to see you do good, so they're not going to sugarcoat nothing and not going to tell you what you want to hear. So,
yeah, and JB's not going to sugarcoat nothing. I mean, that's just JB's going to tell you exactly what he's thinking, what's on his mind. And again, to have a friend like that, it's great, because you kind of get, both sides of the spectrum, from somebody that wants you to heal to do better in the future and somebody wants to push you even though you're hurt to do better. I mean, they're all wanting the same outcome for you, but you kind of could take some from each side. Yeah.
And that's the good part about it. I mean, everyone's different, everyone's built different, and certain things work for certain people. So it is good to have a certain few guys that have different takes on it and that I look up to, that I'm gonna listen to. So it's good to get their perspective on things for sure.
Well, obviously the dynamic duo of you and Stetson Wright will not be at the national finals this year. Him with his hamstring injury that he had fixed right after the national finals, then had to have it redone. You with your shoulder and then, your wrist and all that. I mean, have you guys had some conversation about plans for next year, or what's his mental status right now? I mean, guy wins as many gold buckles as he has in a short amount of time, and then boom, he's on the sidelines.
Yeah, no, we've talked a lot, and I guess for him at this point, it's just getting healthy and getting back to 100% to where he can go compete. But he's having fun. He's been rodeoing with his brothers as if he was riding. So I think he's in a good spot, and getting to be around them guys, he's enjoying it, and still he gets to win when they win. So that guy, if there's anyone that can do it, he's the guy. For sure.
Well, to that point, you think he could just as easily been and had a mental block like you, but not that you don't have support, but he can get in the ring and go with his brothers and get up and down the road. And like you said, it's almost that drive, that motivation to get better. Which, I mean, I guess if you wanted to get go up and down the road, you can. I mean, it's costly to sit there and watch rodeos and not compete at it. And for me, it was torture. I didn't want to be there if I wasn't competing. And maybe that's the drive he's getting out of it. Okay, I need to get back to 100% so I could be back in this position, such as you're probably feeling.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing too. Like this year, JB's not going. Stetson hasn't been going. Like last year, those were the two guys like I fed off the whole time, because I knew 9 times out of 10 they were going to stay on, and if they didn't, they were going to try their ass off to stay on. And it made me elevate my game and made me want to stay on every time and try my ass off every time. And not only that, they're two of my best friends, and it was fun all year long, whether we were putting shit on each other or whatever. It was fun and it was enjoyable, and I had 2 guys there that I looked up to that were pushing me. And now this year that they haven't been there, it has been tough going. Everyone has their little niche of guys that they really get along with and helps them elevate their game. And when you don't have them guys there, it dang sure does make it a bit of a struggle to find that motivation and find that one. For sure. Yeah.
Getting back, finding that motivation is important, especially with a guy coming off an injury and coming back from everything you're coming back from. All right, real quick before we end the show, there's a young kid by the name of Wasey Shala. Obviously, he's kind of showing everybody how much of a stud he is. Who do you got? I know you kind of travel with him, and he's been impressive, but who do you got winning the gold buckle this year?
Oh, that's a tough one.
And you're going to offend somebody no matter what, right?
I think Josh Frost is gonna win it. I think he deserves it, and but I'm backing Wasey too. I think there'd be nothing cooler than seeing an 18-year-old kid come in there, rookie season, win the world, and I would dang sure want to see him win the all-around. That's for sure.
Well, it looks like it's a legitimate possibility from if you watch the PRCA World Standings. So, hey, Kai, thanks for joining us on the show again. I know it wasn't quite the roast session you wanted it to be, and we got dove into a little more of the mental side of it that you didn't want to talk about, but I think it's good for people to know where you're at. Again, thanks for coming on. Thank you all for watching, and make sure you like Kai Hamilton. Go and check him out. This guy, he's a superstar, even though he needs to put a little makeup on when he gets on the camera. So thank you all for watching. Till next time, we'll see you all at the Luke Branquinho Show. Reagan DW, the question is, are we going to get more JB content? Yeah, obviously, because he's been one of our biggest, well, let's be honest, he doesn't watch anything but the Luke Branquinho Show, so of course we're going to get more of JB because he likes to watch himself on the Luke Branquinho Show. So we will get some more. In fact, I think I'm heading out there today, and I might take a few shots on my phone. Hey, you want to see more in-depth details on the Luke Branquinho Show? Make sure you like and subscribe.